Today I'm going to talk about why people need to start transitioning towards a plant-based diet, due to meat production's inefficiency, its unsustainable nature, and its broken moral compass. Firstly, meat production is very inefficient. It takes up a lot of land and a lot of water. According to an Oxford study, if everyone in the world went vegan, 75% of agricultural land could be returned back to its natural state. That's the landmass the size of the US, China, the EU, and Australia all combined. And it also takes up a lot of water. National Geographic estimates that if 50% of the United States went vegan, water use would be decreased by 37%. And you might be wondering why that matters. Climate.gov states that the Ogallala Aquifer, which runs under Colorado, Kansas, Nebraska, New Mexico, Oklahoma, South Dakota, Texas, and Wyoming, which substitutes the water needed to maintain the agriculture in those areas, is starting to dry out. It's not renewable, which was found in an NCA for assessment, because the water is being extracted too quickly for it to replenish. All of these inefficiencies lead to damage of the environment. Which brings me to my next point, the environmental damage it causes. Firstly, greenhouse gas emissions. FAO estimates that livestock makes up 15% of total global greenhouse gas emissions. To compare that to something else, the IPCC report found that transportation makes up 14% of total global greenhouse gas emissions. So everyone in the world taking on a plant-based diet would decrease emissions by the same amount as getting all the cars off the streets, planes out of the sky, and all of the shipping in the world. Then there's deforestation. World Banks found that livestock makes up for 91% of deforestation. You might have heard about the Amazon being burning recently, and that is also due to meat production. In fact, 80% of it is because of producing beef. Then there's the ocean that's getting damaged as well. FAO found that 80% of fisheries are being depleted and in a state of collapse. And if seafood keeps getting consumed at the same rate as population expands, seafood will be gone by 2048, due to another study by Dr. Boris Worm. Then there's fertilizer, which may seem to go against the idea of plant eating anyways, but it has to do a lot about the inefficiencies of turning meat into plants. Or I mean, the other way around. An IPCC report found that if everyone in the US went vegan, it would decrease the amount of nitrogen going into our waterways by 9.9 billion pounds every year. And if those environmental damages aren't enough for morality, then there's the animals themselves. From MFA investigations, it found that animals in factory farms are beaten, stabbed, separated from their babies. Some, like baby chicks, are instantly killed if they're males. They're just ground up as soon as they are born. Others, such as veal cows, last longer. They're separated from their moms and fed an iron-lacking milk, which makes them anemic, and stuck in crates that are completely dark to give their skin a light tint. Then there's those that have to go through the entire process, where they have to give birth to the next generation, suffering the entire time. Then the living conditions are obviously not very good. The US guidelines found that hens that lay eggs are given an 8-inch by 10-inch space, which is smaller than a normal piece of printer paper. The Humane Society found that pigs are given a slightly larger space of 2 feet by 6.6 feet, which leaves them unable to turn around. So you might wonder how many animals are actually affected by this. Here in the US, ASPCA found that 99% of the meat production here is from factory farms, compared to the rest of the world's 90%. Then, if none of those affect you, there's the humanity, or specifically starving children. 8 out of 10 starving children live in countries where available food is used as animal feed. And then those animals are shipped off to Western countries for them to eat. There are solutions. You can simply give up meat once a week and just slowly work your way towards a plant-based diet. Today I've talked about why people need to start transitioning towards a plant-based diet due to meat production's inefficiency, its unsustainable nature, and its broken moral compass. Any questions? Jet.
What's the name of it?
Name of what?
This thing what you're talking about?
What do you mean?
I don't know.
Like what I'm talking about specifically? It's just meat production. Ryder.
If like half the kids in school today started like slowly like stop eating meat, how
Yep.
much would that help?
Quite a lot. Because as it takes over to the next generation, then it's going to greatly decrease the amount of meat consumption. So that would probably work up to 50% vegan, which would decrease the amount of water here by 37%. And it would greatly decrease the amount of land we need, decrease the amount of animals that are needed in factory farms to be bred, and would start that curve that's needed to prevent seafood from going to completely eradicated in 2048. Sam.
So if you stop or slow down eating meat, you would use less water. Is that what?
Yep,
you're
by a lot.
saying?
And how is that? How
So it takes a lot of water to grow the plants that are needed to feed the animals. And then the animals themselves need water, which decreases the water needed by a drastic amount. Like for your average burger, it takes about 725 gallons of water. Compare that to a Beyond Burger, like the Impossible Whopper at Burger King's now, that only takes 7.25 gallons.
so if if everybody stopped eating meat, wouldn't that like decrease like the like amount of pigs and cow and chickens?
By a lot. They'd stop being bred as people did to decrease their meat consumption.
Do you see progress? Does it seem like there's more of this these plant-based foods and plant-based meats available? Do you see progress?
More and more are becoming available every single year as more and more people start transitioning over. I think Europe had something like a 375% increase in the amount of plant-based diets. Like people eating plant-based diets in like the last 2 years.
So there's hope.
Yeah.
So why is it now that like Burger King and stuff like that have less water in their meats than
That's a plant-based burger. That's why it takes up so much less water.
oh
Yep.
okay.
Alright. I think that's good.